Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagavaraham samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisadamma sarati satta deva manusanam buddho bhagavati namo tassa samma sambuddhassa swakhato bhagavata dhammo sanditi ko akaliko ehipasiko vapanayako pachattan veditabbo vinno hiti namo tassa niyanika sadammasa Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango Nyaya Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango Samichi Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sango Idam Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Puggala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sango Pahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakkineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punyaketam Lokasati Namo tassa atta arya puggala mahasangasa. Sukyant Mangal. So this Pāyāsi Sutta, just mute some of those audios. So in this Pāyāsi Sutta, so this Pāyāsi, it is the name of one prince. Of course, he was quite an intelligent young man, and he was quite able, also capable administrator, prince. So this King Pasenadi, he actually asked him to take charge of one small province, a district kind of thing. And the headquarters of the district, it was called Setavya. It's still there in Uttar Pradesh, northern Uttar Pradesh. And I think there are some suttas. Buddha gave some suttas in that Setavya. And I think there are some stupas also in Setavya. So it was a very populous and very, like say, very prosperous town during that time. And this prince, this Pāyāsi, he was in charge of that, and he was taking care of that small province. And he was actually, so last couple of weeks we have seen how, like Buddha, or maybe some of the disciples of Buddha, great disciples of Buddha, they could refute one kind of wrong view, one kind of extreme view, wrong view, that is the soul-centered view, or this something permanent, how this creator like Brahma, why he is not absolutely creator, though he may be having a lot of abilities, powers, but so all creation can't be ascribed to his creation, his abilities. There is so much that individual also, he can create himself. Like the great meditators, they did not yield, they did not succumb to these so-called the divine creators, though they can yield a lot of power on the human beings. But there is a lot of free will, there is a lot of ability of the individuals, there is a lot of abilities of the individuals to work on their own minds, and they can liberate, and they can become more powerful than the so-called divine beings, or even these Brahmic beings, Brahmas. There is nothing like an absolute creator. That view of that absolute creator, absolute creation, it was refuted by Buddhas and so many other great disciples like Moggallana, like Anuruddha, and so many other great disciples, how they could refute by showing, by proving, by both. It's sometimes with supernormal powers, sometimes with wisdom, sometimes uh, with mere logic also. In so many ways, we have seen like how this one kind of extreme view, the wrong view, that is the eternalistic view. So everything is permanent, everything is created by someone, some creator, and we should succumb to it, we should yield to it, we should surrender to it. That's what we should do, nothing more than that. So that kind of view that many people had, and now of course many people have, and definitely many people will have in the future also. Though the Buddhas may arise and they teach, and it will not remain for a long time. Just like now in this era also, just for some 500 years, Buddha's this right view, it survived, it flourished and it survived, and then it started degenerating, and again the wrong views overpowered. And now also, of course, very, very few people, very, very, let's say, very, very small fraction, not even point 0.0001, something like that. People can penetrate into this right view, and understand this right view and work on their own minds, purify, liberate, and during that process develop all these abilities to create or let's say to derive freedom and wisdom by oneself, and thereby absolute bliss and absolute emancipation, liberation one will achieve. That is only a very few, very small fraction. So most of the people, they get carried away in this eternalistic view. Some creator, building succumb to that creator, and and of course the different people, they interpret the creator and his the creation and his the volition of the creator, and that's how so many religions. All these creator and creator oriented, creator based religions. So these interpreters, like the so-called the founders of the religion, they interpret this is the creator's will, as if they are the speakers, they are the loudspeakers of the creator. They boast themselves, they promote themselves, and they declare their own norms, their own rules, their own. You should do this, you should practice this, you should surrender to this creator through me, and other approaches are bad. If you practice other approaches, you will be destroyed, you will be punished, you go to hell. Our path is the only path to reach that creator. Others' path are the useless paths to reach the creator. In that way, all this nonsense is going on in the world. So that is one kind of this creator-centered view, wrong view, extreme view, which leads to this kind of eternalism, eternalistic views. So how Buddha could refute those things? How Buddha could say that all that kind of eternalistic views, they are out of imperfect observation, imperfect perception. Even after getting deep meditation also, some people, they experience that radiance within and without, and they think they are liberated. They become one with the Supreme Soul or the universal consciousness. Their individual consciousness became one with the universal consciousness, and they are liberated. But that is imperfect observation. That is imperfect perception of reality, of ultimate truth. It is just an expression of the purity of the mind. There is it's a long way. There is long way to go. So that Buddha has to present, and how the purification, it leads to ultimate liberation, like this Nibbana Arahant foot. And in that process, all these stages of these cosmological stages, like divine stages and Brahmic stages, Arupa Brahma stages. Everything will just transcend, and how one will achieve Nibbana. So that kind of teaching, that kind of explanation, that kind of assertion, that kind of elaboration, we have seen in the previous many Dhamma talks, where we emphasized on this eternalistic view, this soul-centered view, or this permanence-centered view, or this supreme soul, or this God, or this creator-centered view. That is a wrong view. There is no need to subscribe to this view. Of course, definitely there are divine beings, there are Brahmic beings, and we should definitely respect them, appreciate their efforts to become divine beings. And of course, there is no harm in worshipping and praying them. After all, Buddha also did that. But one should not think that that is the ultimate truth, ultimate creator, ultimate surrender. Then you fall into what is called this delusion, the ignorance, and you can't develop your mind, purify your mind, liberate your mind. Though the greed and hatred, to some extent, it can be handled, the delusion part of the mind cannot be handled. If you fall into this extreme view of eternalism, this soul-centered, or supreme soul-centered, or creator-centered, or permanence-centered view. So that we have seen in the previous few Dhamma discourses. And today we will see the opposite view. How Buddha, and of course the great disciples of Buddha, they refute the other extreme view, which falls in the other spectrum, the other side of the spectrum. That is the nihilistic views, or these atheistic views, or these materialistic views. So this kind of materialistic view, or the nihilistic view, now many people, they try to relate this kind of nihilistic view to this scientific view, and humanist scientific view also, or this kind of humanist view, something rational view. In that way also they try to relate this nihilistic views as rationalist, humanist, materialist, atheistic. That is one more extreme. How Buddhas and the Buddha's great disciples, they refute this other extreme. This is actually much more dangerous. If it is, except for the individual also, and for the society also, or at least it is as dangerous as the other extreme view, that is the eternalistic view. So that is the reason why I thought of bringing in this other dimension of this wrong views, the other extreme of these wrong views, so that one can understand what exactly is right view, what exactly this mind-centered view is the right view. And like say, not subscribing to, or not getting carried away by this, the body-centered view, or this materialistic-centered view, or this the view around this physicality that is seen only with your human eye, or with this the human faculties, or this logical mind. So there is something beyond that. There is something beyond these five physical senses and the knowledge based on these physical senses. There is something one can perceive through the mind sense, through meditation and all. That is far a superior wisdom, superior truth. That mind sense, that's what actually all of you, many of you at least, are working on that by practicing the meditations, and of course before that practicing morality and meritorious actions, then calming down the mind, and then practicing meditations. Then you transcend these five senses and you enter into what is called the mind sense, there you start experiencing the realities of the existence, realities of this path, this Noble Eightfold Path. By purifying the mind, how the mind gets liberation and how one will achieve superior happiness, superior wisdom, superior freedom in this process of mind purification. By entering into the mind sense, by transcending the physical senses. That's what we have seen in our meditations, in many of our talks and Dhamma programs. So today, specifically, this sutta, this Pāyāsi Sutta, is about this skeptic. Skeptic means like one who won't believe about anything that is not seen, perceived through the physical eye, human eye. Anything that you can't perceive through your eyes, and your intellect is restrained, if it is constrained, if it is limited to your human eye perception, such a person is called a skeptic. He can't think beyond this sensory perception, this physical sense perception. Such a person is called a skeptic. So there are many things beyond this sense perception, physical sense perception. There are many things related to the mind sense perception. So one who can't appreciate, can't enter into this mind sense dimension, and then by that mind dimension or the mind sense dimension, who can't realize this mind sense realities or the truths, he is called a skeptic. And this fellow, this Pāyāsi, was also a skeptic, and he was confined to his wisdom. He was confined to his knowledge was confined to this physical sense perception, and he was quite like say popular in his view. Many people knew that he is of this view, he is of this materialistic view, he is of this body-centered view, he is of this physical sense-centered view. So in that way, he was popular. Of course, now also you can see there are so many humanists, rationalists, so-called skeptics who simply in the name of science, they're stuck only to the physical senses. They can't think beyond the physical senses. Such people now also, of course, India is such a, of course, the world itself. So many views you can see, so many kind of diverse views you can see, and many people, they defend their views so strongly. They were so audacious. They are still, there are many, they are so audacious to defend their views. That is very much there in this world. In the same way, during that time also, this Pāyāsi, he was very audacious in his view. And once there was one great disciple of Buddha. His name was Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa. He was touring in that place, that Setavya, that is the city, a populous place, which was very prosperous also. It was gifted by the King Pasenadi. And also he gifted the royal powers to this Pāyāsi. And he was living in that place, Setavya, this king, this Prince Pāyāsi. And this Kumāra-Kassapa, he was traveling in that place. And he was also a very great monk, very great disciple of Buddha. And he was also an Etadagga, the foremost in explaining Dhamma and presenting Dhamma in a very authoritative way, this Kumāra-Kassapa. Buddha had given him that Etadagga title, the foremost title, this Kumāra-Kassapa. And his birth is also very special. Like his mother, when she was a bhikkhuni, that time I think that we will see later. It's a big story about his birth also. This Kumāra-Kassapa. So this Kumāra-Kassapa, his ability is his presentation of Dhamma in a very authoritative way. So this Kumāra-Kassapa, he was traveling in that Setavya, And this prince, he came to know that this Kumāra-Kassapa is traveling. And now he thought, these foolish Brahmins and the inexperienced Brahmins and householders of Setavya, they are going to meet this Kumāra-Kassapa. And the Kumāra-Kassapa, he teaches, after all, he is Buddha's disciple. He teaches about the another world, and there are spontaneously born beings. That means the hellish beings, the ghosts, and also the divine beings and the Brahma beings. They're all spontaneously born beings. Unlike the humans and the animals. Animals and humans, they have to take birth, like say, first they have to conceive by the parent, by the mother. In the mother's womb, they have to first take birth, and then the mother will nurture, whether it is egg or the like the fetus. Then they will take birth, then they'll start growing. But in the ghost realm and the hells and in the divine realms and in the Brahmic realms, it is spontaneous birth. Directly, the being will appear as an adult, as a youth. So that kind of spontaneously born beings, and that there is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. So those things, this Buddha and his disciples, they teach. And this great disciple, Kumāra-Kassapa, he is there in Setavya, and these Brahmins and householders, they will go and they will learn from him, and they will give up my view, or they will not appreciate my view. That what was his view? There is nothing like spontaneous rebirth. There is nothing like other world. There is nothing like fruits and results of good and bad actions. That is my view. And that will be refuted by this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa. And then they will, of course, he may be having some kind of compassionate intentions also, or maybe some selfish intention also, this Pāyāsi. Then he will lose his grip or his popularity. That may be one intention. The other intention is like, I want to teach even this Kumāra-Kassapa. That may be his overconfidence also. So because of several reasons, he thought that I should go and I should argue, I should debate with this Kumāra-Kassapa, and I should defeat him. I should, like say, counter him, and then I should promote my view, so that all these foolish Brahmins and householders, they will not fall prey to his view, Kumāra-Kassapa's view, that is Buddha's view. In that way he thought, and he just he also met, accompanied, he also joined this group of Brahmins and householders, and he went to the Simsapa forest where this Kumāra-Kassapa was staying. It was a few kilometers away from this Setavya. Generally, Buddhas and Buddha's disciples, they used to stay in some forest areas. Some kings or some rich lay people, lay disciples, they would have built some monasteries also in such, some viharas also in the forest. Sometimes in the forest itself they used to stay. And this Kumāra-Kassapa was staying in this Simsapa forest, which was just a few kilometers, a few miles away from this Setavya. And this Pāyāsi, the Prince Pāyāsi, he, along with his subjects, accompanied by the Brahmins and householders of Setavya, he went to see this Kumāra-Kassapa, and he exchanged greetings, courtesies with Kumāra-Kassapa, and she sat down to one side. Then the conversation started. Then he said, Pāyāsi, so Reverend Kassapa, I hold this tenet and this view, this kind of thesis, this kind of tenet, this kind of belief I have, this kind of view I have. What is my view? There is no other word. There are no spontaneously born beings. There is no fruit or result of good or evil deeds. So in that way, he just expressed his view. Then on what basis you can prove this? Then he says there is no other power which can yield on the on this earth. I don't see any other power other than the human power, uh, which can demonstrate, which can be demonstrated. Is the womanly, the human power, the human, the will and humans' decisions. They only have the impact on this world. So there, I don't see any other power. Then that's why I just say this is only the humans who are powerful. There is nothing which is more powerful than the human beings. That's what. So because of his power only, we are getting all everything, and also the moon. Because of moon only, we get lot of light during full moon days and all. And of course, moon also has impact on the oceans and all. Can create huge waves during full moon days. Of course, in that way we can. That many people knew the power of the moon and the sun. Why don't you see the power of the moon and the sun? So now he could now slowly he accepted that there's something more powerful than the human, but still he was defending his statement that I have this view. Whatever you may say about that Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. There is no spontaneously born beings. There is no result and the fruits of good and bad deeds. That's what I can see. Then any other reason for your assertion, for your tenet, for your view, for your belief. So in that way, when Venerable Kassapa asked him, then again he started giving some more reasons why he won't believe in the other world. So he started saying, so when there are some people, some friends and some colleagues, or even some blood relations, who are very immoral, some of my friends, relatives, blood relatives who are very immoral. They take life, they take what is not given, they commit sexual offenses, they tell lies, they use abusive, harsh, and frivolous speech. They're greedy, they're full of hatred and hold wrong views. Eventually, they become ill, suffering, and deceased. And when I am sure they will not recover, I go to them and say, there are certain ascetics and Brahmins who declare and believe that those who take life had wrong views will, after death, at the breaking up of the body, they're born in a state of woe, an evil place, a place of punishment in hell. Now, almost now you are at the back end of your life. And because of your all immoral things that you have done, now you are at the back end. Now you are deceased, now you are seriously ill. You may die in a couple of days or in a few days. So what you should do? So he's like, well, he's having this absolute scientific temper. He wants to investigate everything. This kind of approach, very, very, very childish approach. Although it's in the name of scientific temper, finding out the truth. His approach, of course, that time it was the society was not scientifically advanced. There were no laboratories and all. That kind of people, they used to use the human beings as their specimens, laboratory specimens. And this Pāyāsi also, he used to meet some of his friends or relatives or colleagues who are at the deathbed, who have done a lot of evil things, and now who are on the deathbed. He used to go to them and he used to ask them. Many Brahmins and ascetics, they have this belief that so those who are immoral people, those who are cruel and immoral, led one very unvirtuous life. Then after death, they will take rebirth in the hells. So you may take rebirth in the hells if they are right. If they are correct, then you will take rebirth in the hells. So what you should do? So after you take rebirth in the hells, You just take some time and come back to me, or send some messenger that whether you have taken rebirth in the hells. That information I want to know. He's not bothered about their death. He's bothered about this reality, this realization, whether there is hell, that he wanted to find out. So after all, he was a young man and a powerful prince. So he had that freedom to express his desire, even with those suffering people who are going to die. So if you go to one dying person and if you say, if you go to hell, you just come back and tell me, or you send some messenger whether you have reached hell safely. So in that way, this Pāyāsi used to go and talk to many of such people. Of course, we should appreciate his, his desire to know about this rebirth and the desire to know about the hells. So, but I told many people like that, you have done so many evil things, and if what these ascetics and Brahmins say is true, that is where you will go. That is where means that is the hells, you will go there. And now, if after that, if you go to a state of woe, that means the hells, come to me and declare that there is another world. There are spontaneously born beings. There is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. You gentlemen, you are trustworthy and dependable. You are my good friends. You don't forget about my wish, my desire. You just come back and tell me. Or if you can't come back because of some reason, what you should do? You are very trustworthy. You are so loyal to me. I am your king. I am your boss and you are a trustworthy king. You send at least one messenger that you have taken rebirth safely in the hells. That information I want to know. You just send someone or you come back and tell me. That way I used to tell them, but nobody came back and told me. So because of that reason, I have this view. They are very trustworthy people. Definitely they should listen to my words, but they have not come back. That means that's the end. That is the end of the game. That is, once they die, that's the end. There's nothing like taking rebirth because they're bad people. There's nothing like hells. There's nothing like ghost, spirit world, ghost world. If it is there, they would have come back and very trustworthy people. But although they agreed, they neither came to tell me, nor did they send a messenger. That Reverend Kassapa, that Reverend Kassapa, is my reason for maintaining that there is no other world, there are no spontaneously born beings, there is no fruit or result of good or bad deeds. So that's what is my reasoning, because they have not come back. No one, not even one person came back to me and told me that they have taken rebirth in the hell or rebirth in the ghost world. So that's why now I am very sure that there is nothing like next world or spontaneously born beings or the fruit and the result of good and bad actions. So in that way, when he gave his reasoning, then after all, this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa is very brilliant, very practical examples also he used to give with similes, with parables. It's called parables. That means that similes, some example, because many people, they can understand the things with some similes, with some examples, some parables. So then, all right, now I will question you about it, and you shall reply as you think fit. What do you think, Prince? Suppose they were to bring a thief before you. He has done something evil, some burglary or some evil thing, and he was caught and he was brought in front of you. And this man, Lord, is a thief, caught in the act. Sentence him to any punishment you wish. And you might say, bind this man's arms tightly behind him with a strong rope, shave his head closely, and lead him to the rough sound of a drum through the streets and squares and out through the southern gate, and there cut off his head. So then you declare punishment for him. Take him in the procession, shave off his head, and beat him, bind him, and take him to the southern gate and cut off his head. So that's what you declare, let us say. And they say, saying, very good, in assent, they led him to the southern gate and they cut off his head. Now, if the thief were to say to the executioners, good executioners, in this town or village, I have friends, colleagues, and blood relations. Please wait till I have visited them and I have to give them a piece of information about the punishment I'm getting here and how I'm being treated here by the king and by these executioners. I have to give them some information about my whereabouts, how I am. So please wait, I will go and talk to some of my relatives or maybe his close friend or some trustworthy friend. Whether your executioners allow him to go inform about his well-being, about his situation or about his whereabouts. The thief, after all, he's a thief. Now he's caught. Uh, so now he's supposed to be for this simple reason that he wanted to give some information to some of his best friend. They will not allow or to meet his relations. Maybe some last wish, he wants to eat something or he wants to something they may agree. But to give a piece of information, he will not be allowed to go and meet somebody who is very, very far from that place to give some information. They will not allow. Would he get his wish or would they just cut off the talkative thief's head? He would not get his wish, Reverend Kassapa. They would just cut off his head. So, Prince, this thief could not get even his human executioners to wait while he visited his friends and relations. So, how can your friends, colleagues, and blood relations who have committed all these misdeeds, having died and gone to a place of woe, prevail upon the warders of the hell, saying, good warders of hell, please wait while we report to Prince Pāyāsi that there is another world. There are spontaneously born beings and there is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. Therefore, Prince admit that there is another world. How can they, your faithful friends, blood relations, or colleagues, it's altogether a different world, a different setup there, different rules and regulations. And they are in their own misery, in their own trouble. How can they come back to you? Even coming back itself is highly impossible. Here, after doing all these things, after the this life force, after they die, then only they can go to another world. But from that world, how can they come just as a visit to this world? It's not possible. In the human world itself, it is so difficult if a person is an evil person, he is being executed. So his wish will not be fulfilled. How can you expect it is altogether a different world from there to come back to you and to give that piece of information? Point number one. Point number two, how can there is no guarantee that they should remember your words? The memory, it's a complete transition from this world to another world. And in that other world, to remember what you have said, what they have promised, that itself is another big challenge. So because of that reason, in the human world itself, that is a big. Even the thief also, he is suffering. He is going through a lot of suffering in that punishment. And even for him to remember that he should go and meet someone, give a piece of information, how can he remember such a trivial thing? In the human world itself, it is difficult to remember that kind of trivial thing. Then how can you expect a person who has gone altogether into a different world to remember and to come back and give? It's again difficult task. And even getting permission from there to here, that is a difficult thing. And completely changing the dimension of the world from that world dimension to this world dimension. So all these hindrances are there. In the midst of that, how can you expect your relatives to come back to you and tell you that there is another world? There are spontaneously born beings. There are fruits and results of good and bad actions. How can they explain it? How can they tell you? How can they give you that piece of information? Then again, he continued his argument, his stubbornness, this Pāyāsi whatever you may say about that Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other word. Then again, this Venerable Kassapa, again he asked him, have you any reason for this assertion? I have. There is one more reason I can tell you why I am holding on to this view. What is that? Okay, forget about these evil people. They may forget. After all, they're evil. Definitely, their memory will be less. And after all, they're suffering in the hells or in the ghost realms because of their evil deeds. And because of that suffering, they may not remember also, or they may not get that kind of like say commitment. They may not possess in that world, and they may not come back to me. I agree. But what about the good people? Very good people. I have many good people also as my friends, blood relations, and colleagues. And after doing so many meritorious actions, charitable things, and having right view, and if they are on the deathbed, again I used to go to them and I used to tell them, request them, you are wonderful people. Now you do one thing, one favor for me. So after you die, then you go to the heavens, as many ascetics and Brahmins they say. The good people will get the good destination, the good rebirth, the good realms, like the heavens, the divine realms. You please come back to me and you tell me that there is another world after death. There are some good destinations also. There are some fruits and results for good and bad deeds. There are spontaneously born beings. That information you please tell me. Come back and tell me. In that way, I requested. But those people also, those so-called good people also, forget about bad people. I agree. The bad people, and because of their evilness, they may forget also. It may be difficult for them to come from hells to the human realm. But what's wrong with these so-called good people who have performed so many good actions and who have reached the heavens? And for them, it should not be a difficult thing to come back to me and to inform that that all this information that I see, that there is another world, there are spontaneously born beings, there are results and fruits for the good actions and bad actions. What is the problem for these so-called good people who are taken rebirth in the heavens? For that, I will give you again one parable. This Reverend Kassapa, he is so brilliant in giving parables, so that even an ordinary person, even one a villager can understand. So what is the parable? What is the simile? What is the kind of relatable example that this Venerable Kassapa is talking about? I will give you a parable because some wise people understand what is said by means of parables. Suppose a man had fallen head first into a cesspit. Cesspit means like your toilet, the ancient days. All the toilet it used to go to, of course now also it is there, but now it is completely closed and drainage system is there. But in the ancient days, each house they used to have this cesspit, all these toilet, it used to go to this cesspit. So in that cesspit, you were to, if a man had fallen head first into the cesspit, that means, so he has fallen head first. Pull that man out of this cesspit. So you tell your men, just to pull out that man from that cesspit, and they say, very good, sir, and they pull him out and they clean his body thoroughly of the filth with bamboo scrapers, and then to give him a triple shampoo with yellow loam. Then you would tell them to anoint his body with oil and then to clean him 3 times with fine soap powder. Then you would tell them to dress his hair and beard and to adorn him with the fine garlands, ointments, and clothes. Finally, you would tell them to lead him up to your palace and let him indulge in the pleasures of the 5 senses. And they would do so. What do you think, Prince? Would that man, having been well washed, with his hair and beard dressed, adorned, garlanded, clothed in white, and having been conveyed up to the palace, enjoying and reveling in the pleasures of five senses, want to be plunged once more into that cesspit. Now, after escaping from that dirtiness, filthiness of the cesspit, now he is thoroughly washed, cleaned, and is anointed with all perfumes, and now he's enjoying sensual pleasures in the palace. Now again, either he develops some interest to again fall into that cesspit. No, definitely he will not be interested in again falling into that cesspit. No, Reverend Kassapa. Why not? Because that cesspit is unclean and considered so evil smelling, horrible, revolting, and generally considered to be disgusting. So nobody wants to go back to that cesspit again. Once he's enjoying all these heavenly pleasures, essential pleasures. In just the same way, Prince, human beings are unclean, evil smelling, horrible, revolting, and generally considered to be disgusting by the devas. The divine beings, they don't consider the human beings as like acceptable, and they are like they don't want to be in this human world, because for them they are achieving, they are experiencing far superior subtle sensual pleasures. This kind of grass body, this kind of grass smells, grass odors, flavors. This grassness is highly unacceptable for the divine beings, just like for the human beings. The cesspit is highly unacceptable. The same way for the divine beings, this human world is highly unacceptable. It is disgusting. It is loathsome for the divine beings. So, why should your friends who have not committed any of the offenses, they have not committed any of the offenses, but they have done a lot of wholesome things, why should they come back to you and tell me what, however trustworthy they may be? Their trustworthiness is limited to this human world. Once they enter into the divine realm, they are far superior than you, and why should they be trustworthy for you? And after all, they are so much disgusted with this human world now, when they are in the divine world. And why should they come back to you, and why they should tell you? Who have not committed any of the offenses, and who have after death been born in a happy state, a heavenly world, come back and say, there is another world, there is fruit of good and evil deeds. Therefore, Prince, admit that there is another world. So don't expect this kind of things from those who are in the human, in the divine world now. So don't have this kind of very childish expectations. The beings who are born either in the hells or in the ghost realms, or those who are born in the divine realms or in the Brahmic beings, Brahmic realms, because of their meritorious deeds, you should not expect, you can't expect. For the lower realm beings like the ghosts and the hell, they can't come here because they are in the absolute misery, and bearing it and being there itself is the biggest challenge for them. And they may not be having that memory also, and it's a tedious task for them, and it's an impossible task for them to come out and tell you. Just like the beings in the cesspit, the worms in the cesspit, they can't come out and they can't tell you, or the human beings, about the problems in the cesspit. It is impossible. It's altogether a different world. The same way the hells and these ghost realms, it's altogether a different world. It's not possible for them to come back. At the same time, the divine beings and the Brahmin beings, so disgusting, just like this person who escaped from the cesspit. Again, to go to the cesspit is so disgusting for him. In the same way, for the divine beings, it is so disgusting for them to come to this human world and to narrate their story, their experience to you. You should not expect. So in that way, this Venerable Kassapa, he asked him, don't keep this kind of childish views, childish expectations. And then based on this, you should not draw conclusion. This is what I used to often repeat. Very immaturely, very foolishly, don't draw conclusions. There are so many things existing in this whole universe. Your ability to draw conclusions, it is very meager, very trivial. based on your some physical sense experience, if you draw some conclusion, you are absolutely a stupid person, absolutely a immature person. So in that way, this Kumāra-Kassapa, Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa, he asked him to give up that wrong view. Don't draw such kind of stupid conclusions based on some stupid expectations. So in that way, Kumāra-Kassapa told this Prince Pāyāsi. But again, he was a skeptic after all. Again, he continues his argument, his debate. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. And there is no other world. There are no fruits and results of good and bad actions. Still, I think so. Then what is the reason? Any other reason for your assertion? Yes, I have. So what is that? Yeah, there are, of course, the same logic. Forget about my own relatives. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who are very much interested in reforming the people, who are interested in guiding and reforming the people, like some ascetics and Brahmins, like great sages and all, who are so compassionate to the world. At least they would have come after taking rebirth in the divine realms, the superior divine realms, like in Tavatims also. They would have come and they would have told, forget about these ordinary people like my friends and relatives. At least these so-called compassionate sages, some compassionate ascetics and Brahmins, they would have come. For that, this Kumāra-Kassapa, he gives the explanation. Again, there is one more problem, like in these superior divine realms, like Tavatimsa, Tusita, or even the Brahma beings. So the one day for them is hundreds, thousands of years for us. Or maybe even lakhs and millions of years in some Brahma realms. One day for them is millions of years for us. So if they take rebirth in the Brahma realms and all, so if they just spend some time, just one day there, then millions of years would have passed here. That means all of us would have died. So because of that reason, you should not expect the so-called ascetics and the Brahmins now who are in this Brahma realms. They would have not even spent even a small time, 1/4 of a day. Then all of us will not be here because that is the lifespan of the Brahma realms. Though they are so much compassionate to us, there's compassion. It is like say it will not work out because of the lifespan in these different planes of existence. In those Brahma beings or in the superior Deva realms, the lifespan is so much. Even their half a day or 1/4 of a day is not equal to thousands of years of the human world. So in that way, you should not expect. Then how can you say? Then this prince again continued. How can you say that that they have so much of long lifespan? Then this Kumāra-Kassapa continues. I will give you a parable. If you let us say there is one blind person. He is blind from birth and could not see dark or light objects, blue or yellow or red or crimson ones, could not see the smooth and the rough, could not see the stars and the moon. He might say, there's nothing like dark and light objects, there's nothing like colors, there's nothing like these different objects, visible forms are there, everything is same. That way if he says, so then people will laugh at him. He is blind by birth, he doesn't know anything. The same way, you don't know But those who go to the jungles, they live in quiet and seclusion, who are unwearied, ardent, restrained, purify their divine eye. That is the mental eye. You are just stuck in this physical eye. From this physical eye, you don't know those divine realms and they don't know their lifespans. But in the mental eye, when a person starts seeing, then all these things will be revealed. And for this mental eye to open up, there is a procedure. One has to transcend the physical eyes. For the person to transcend these physical eyes, he requires seclusion, he requires that ability to go inwards. And for that, of course, many sages, many people, even now, not only me, there are so many hundreds, thousands of sages and ascetics and Brahmins. They have achieved this. They have opened up, they have worked on their mental eye, transcended their physical eye and the physical senses, and they discovered the different, they could see both this world and the next world, and also they could see the spontaneously born beings. And based on that authoritative experiential knowledge, I am declaring that there are different worlds and the lifespan is so much there. There is no time for them. There is no, like say, there is no relatability. There's something called, this relativity, theory of relativity. So based on this theory of relativity, those, even this so-called scientific theory of relativity, we can understand that in different planes of existence, there is different, like say, that understanding of time, experience of time. So based on that, they can't come back to you and they can't inform you about the other worlds and these spontaneously born beings. Because of that reason also you should accept. You should give up your wrong view and you should accept that there are other worlds, there are results and fruits of good and bad actions. So in that way, this argument, this debate continued. And again, he says that I started searching for the soul in so many ways. The people who are half dead, he is a very cruel person also. In his eagerness to investigate the soul, this Prince Pāyāsi, he used to investigate at the time of death whether this soul escaping from their body, and he used to tie them, he used to bind them inside one big drum, and he used to beat them, of course, if there are some thieves. And during the time of death, he used to observe whether something comes out of this drum, the covered drum, or if there is something which can be like say trapped inside the drum, like this soul. Like on such childish experiments he used to perform. And that also he used to say. And for that, of course, this Reverend Kassapa. See, a few things you can't catch, you can't trap with your physical objects like the drums and all. Even at the time of deep sleep, when you're experiencing some dreams, your mind will go to so many places. Like after the afternoon, after the meal, if you take some small nap, during that nap, your mind goes to so many places, so many, like say, some pleasant things, pleasant views you get, and you talk to someone who is very, very far from you, like some king, Pasenadi, they go and talk in your sleep, in your dream. That time you are experiencing everything, but the people around you, when you're sleeping in your palace, your servants, they don't see how your mind is moving. When you are living itself, how the mind moves, people can't see. And how can you expect at the time of death, the mind moves away from the body, that you can't see. So in that way, don't expect these ultimate truths with your childish experiments. In that way, this Kassapa used to refute this kind of arguments, this kind of very childish logics and childish experiments of this Prince Pāyāsi. All right, now again, see his logic. This kind of, again, of course, though it is very childish logic, but that kind of logic you can see now also. In the name of science, in the name of truth, many people, they talk sometimes very cruel logics also, sometimes very childish logics also. Again, he has brought in one more logic, that is the so-called people who are very, very sure, the ascetics and Brahmins who are performing very meritorious actions and who are very virtuous, who are very meditative, who are sure that they are going to get the divine realms, which is very, very blissful. Why don't they kill themselves? Why should they suffer in this human world where there is a lot of disgust? As you said, it is like a cesspit, the human world for the divine beings. So why should they suffer in this cesspit? They would have killed themselves because they are sure that they are going to get the divine realms. So why don't they kill themselves and get the divine realms? That is one more logic of this Prince Pāyāsi, a skeptic. Though the logic is okay, fine, but there you see a lot of, like say, cruelty also here. And of course, if you emphasize too much on the truth, then you may have to sacrifice this love and the compassion. Whatever it may be, we should appreciate this Prince Pāyāsi in his investigation for the truth. Though it is too extreme, but so he got the right answers from this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa. So what is the answer of this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa when he said, when he requested that why these so-called ascetics and Brahmins were so sure that they have led a very principled life, very virtuous life, and meditative life, and they are sure of getting the divine realm. Why don't they kill themselves? Then again, this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa, he gave a parable. It's again a beautiful parable, beautiful simile. Let us say once upon a time, Prince, a certain Brahmin had two wives. One had a son, 10 or 12 years old, while the other was pregnant and nearing her time when the Brahmin died. The two wives, one wife had a son who was quite, like say, a teenage boy, 12 years boy, let us say. The other wife, she was pregnant. But nearing her time, that means like almost ready to deliver her, the baby. That time what happened? The Brahmin died. Then this young boy, the 12 years old teenage boy, this Janji boy, so this youth said to his mother's co-wife, his mother's, the stepmother, he told his stepmother, lady, whatever wealth and possessions, silver or gold there may be, is all mine. My father made me his heir. Now I'm the only heir. My father died now. So everything, all the wealth now belongs to me. So in that way, he told his stepmother. At this, the Brahmin lady said to the youth, wait, young man, until I give birth. If the child is a boy, one portion will be his. And if it is a girl, then she will be like your sister and she will serve you. She will follow you if she is a girl. In that way, this young lady, this stepmother told this boy. But the youth, this young boy, he was so, like say, adamant, and he insisted that, no, I am the heir of my father. And he repeated third time also. Then this lady thought, now it is almost like it is a time for the delivery. Now I will do one thing. So she went to another room. She took a knife and going into inner room, she cut open her belly, thinking, if only I could find out whether it is a boy or girl. And thus she destroyed herself and the living embryo and the wealth as well, just as fools do who seek their inheritance unwisely, heedless of the hidden danger. So, however confident you may be, now it is, I'm going to deliver, now the time has come, but still everything has to be matured, everything has to be ripened. Until then, one has to wait. In his one's over enthusiasm, this cutting the womb and trying to see whether it is a boy or girl. That is one stupid curiosity. You don't know the hidden danger there. In the same way, there is no need for these ascetics and Brahmins to die immaturely by cutting their throats or by killing themselves, though they are sure of the divine rebirths. But still, for everything, that maturity has to come. There is no need, first of all. Then you will lose everything. This, just like this woman, she lost the baby, she lost her life also, and she lost the possessions also, the wealth also. So in that way, with overconfidence is also stupidity, the delusion is ignorance. And after all, though they are very sure, they have to see further. They have to wait until one has to reach that maturity to die and to take rebirth in the heavens. There is no need to take the hasty step. So in that way, this Kumāra-Kassapa, he gave this parable and he told this Prince Pāyāsi, those ascetics and Brahmins who observe morality and are well conducted do not seek to hasten the ripening of that which is not yet ripe, but rather they wisely avoid its ripening. Their life is profitable to those ascetics and Brahmins. For the longer such moral and well conducted ascetics and Brahmins remain alive, the greater the merit they can create. For them also it is good, for the other people also it is good. If such people, they live for a long time. They practice for the welfare of many, for the happiness of many, out of compassion for the world, for the profit and benefit of devas and humans. Therefore, Prince, admit that, that there is another world. There are fruits and results for good and bad actions. You should admit now. In that way, he again insisted. Again, this his investigation to find out the soul in so many ways, he tried to explain. This Prince Pāyāsi. Then again, this Kumāra-Kassapa, he just refuted all those ways, your so-called were scientific ways, scientific means to find out the flow of the mind, the movements of the mind, the stream of consciousness. It is beyond your the so-called this sense perceptions. After all, this so-called science is also stuck in the sense perception. So the mind movements, the consciousness movements, it is beyond the sense perceptions. It is at the mind sense level. If you want to know these mind sense movements through the physical senses, it is not possible. And this is one of the powerful ways, even now it is old school. So you can't see the movement of course, it is mind or the stream of consciousness, or some people used to say soul. You should not work with your physical senses to find out this movement of the mind or the movement of the consciousness or this flow of consciousness, stream of consciousness. Because you see, it's a different dimension. See, for example, a person who goes to a border country, they are the people, let us say, all tribal people or very, like say, very uncivilized people. They don't know anything about the trumpets. One very, very, like say, this musical instrument. When they see this trumpet, when they see this back and forth, they start looking at this trumpet from where this sound comes. Then you can't say that this trumpet, it is useless. So when all the conditions come together, like blowing wind and holding it properly, blowing wind and in a proper way, if you blow, then only the sound comes. In the same way, you can't expect the movement of the mind by turning the body this side and that side. So many experiments this Prince Pāyāsi used to do with the body to discover the soul. It is all useless, it is fruitless, it is like say worthless. It is ineffective, just like If you keep on looking at this trumpet, from where the sound comes, you have to create the proper causes and conditions. How to blow, you should know how to blow it. That knowledge you should have. There should be wind, and there should be the person who should blow it. All these things fall in place, then only you will experience the sound. In the same way, for this consciousness to move from the body, so many factors are there, and one has to go inwards, and one has to experience consciousness, then he has to experience the movement of the consciousness. Not merely by your scientific, like say, instruments. Through your scientific instruments, you can't experience the movement of the consciousness or the mind. Many people, of course, now you can see this, there is something called some Caecilian photograph, something like that. So many things they try to find out this aura or the soul or the many things. But with the scientific instruments, whatever you want to discover about the movement of the mind, it is very, very, like say, preliminary. It is very, very ineffective. One has to go inwards only, seclude, transcend the physical senses, and then only you can discover the mind sense. And once you discover the mind sense, then so many channels of the mind, including the movement of the consciousness, one can discover. So in that way, this Kumāra-Kassapa, he convinced this this Pāyāsi, Prince Pāyāsi. Then again, one more example also he gives. So once actually one fire worshipper, he asked one young boy who doesn't know anything about fire worship. Some again 10, 12 years boy. He asked him, I'm going outside. If this fire, if it it would not be right for me, like say, if it should go out, if this fire goes out, that means if it gets extinguished, what you should do? Here is an axe, here are some sticks, here are the fire sticks, so you can relight the fire and look after it. Don't allow it to go out, first of all. And if it goes out, then you should again make use of these other requisites here, the firewood, other things. And again, you relight it. In that way, he told that young boy, and he left the place, that fire worshipper. And when he came back, this boy, that light was not there, fire was not there. And he asked him, what happened? So, of course, I was playing this fire. It went out. Then I tried to make these sticks, cut these sticks together, and I just brought these sticks and used my axe and brought so many firewood sticks. And he did all the other things except rekindling it. So in that way, these materialistic things only, if you are working with, if you don't know how to rekindle it with some other like say fire, then all these materialistic things, it will not yield to produce one more fire. So in the same way, you are looking foolishly, senselessly, and unreasonably for another word. Prince gave up this evil point by trying to look at this physicality, the physical senses. You can't expect the fire inside, the spark inside. So the spark should be experienced with the spark only. The mind should be experienced with the mind only. The movement of the mind, the transfer of the mind should be experienced by the mind only. Same, just like this, fire should be triggered or kindled by the fire only, not by keeping the firewood or these the other things like eggs or which is required to cut the fire. All these things, if you keep, you can't expect that firewood to catch the fire. In the same way, the mind should be understood by the mind only. By this inward movement of the mind, through meditation. So in that way, this Kumāra-Kassapa, he told, Prince, give up this evil viewpoint, give it up. Do not let it cause you misfortune and suffering for a long time. If you stick on to this kind of wrong view, then you are stuck in this only these materialistic things, the body only. Then you can't understand the mind and the intricacies of the mind and the movements of the mind. And when you don't work on these movements and the purity of the mind, and there, if you don't derive the happiness of the pure mind here and now, then you will suffer here and now, and also you will suffer hereafter also. If you don't work on the mind through these meritorious actions, through this moral behavior, through this meditativeness, if you don't work on the mind, you suffer here and now, and you suffer hereafter also. It is a suffering for misfortune and suffering for a long time. In that way, this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa, he insisted this Pāyāsi. Now, he started accepting, all right. But again, one more problem, it arose in his mind. If I accept this, all right, mind-centeredness is perfect, I agree. Working on the mind, and to work on the mind, follow the steps of this moral behavior, meritoriousness, meditativeness, I agree. I give up my wrong view, this body-centered view. But the problem is now, everybody know that I am a skeptic, I am a body-centered, I am a materialist, I am an atheist who won't believe in the other world, who won't believe in the fruits and results of the good and bad actions. Everybody knows about this. King Pasenadi of Kosala knows my opinions. And so do kings abroad, the other kings from other neighboring countries and other countries also. They know that I am a very renowned, very famous, now people they claim, I am a famous atheist, I am a great atheist, I am a great humanist, I am a great rationalist. I don't care about the mind. I don't care about purification of the mind. I don't care about the meritorious actions, meditations, meritoriousness, or this morality, all these things. I don't care. That mind-centeredness, the true happiness one can derive by purifying the mind, but I don't care. So that kind of people, of course, even now you can see. So this Pāyāsi, though now he started accepting that this mind-centered right view approach, the problem now is, like many people, they know me as so and so, as a great skeptic, a great mindset, this material, this body-centered philosopher he is. Then if I give it up, then they will say, what a fool this Prince Pāyāsi is. How stupidly he grasps this mind-centered view. So in that way, people will start laughing at me. They start commenting on. So what I will do. So though I know that this mind-centered view is good, I will stick on to this view only, my body-centered view only, because I have to satisfy these people. I don't want to be blamed by these people. Then again, Buddha gives, this Kumāra-Kassapa, he gives some parables. Only foolish people, they will stick on to their wrong views, though they know that in future there is a lot of suffering because of their ego-centered, because of their proudness, because of their this ego. The people, they prize me as a materialist or atheist. If I give up this atheistic view, then the people will laugh at me. That is absolute foolishness, because you're going to suffer so much here and now and hereafter. That suffering is something like say one gives one example here, or two friends with some 500 carts of merchandise. They wanted to travel. They wanted to go from one city to another city through one big jungle. They were carrying some grass, some fodder for the bullocks. the bullocks, they were, like say, they were pulling the carts. Actually, one group, this first one of the friends, he just with his 500 carts, when he was traveling, one spirit, one yakka, he came to this leader, this first friend. Now there's a lot of grass is available, a lot of rain is coming, and you just do one thing, you just throw away all this water and all. It's not required, it's unnecessary for the bullocks also. So in that way, he just like say asked him to just throw away all the water, and then after going some distance, they did not find water and they became very weak. And then these yakkas, these spirits, they came and they killed all of them. The second person, he came, when he was traveling. Then the same yakka, he came and he told the same thing, but he did not believe him, the second friend. Then let me see that there is, until we are sure that there is water, we can't believe him. After all, he's an unknown person. So in that way, he did not care to the words of this person. His pricing, his pampering and all, he did not bother about that. He just marched forward with all these facilities like water and all. There he could not see anything, so that he could save his people, his bullocks, and himself also. The same way, you should not bother about, like say, being pampered by some stupid people, by these yakkas, by the spirits. Those some stupid people, they prize you because of your wrong view. You should not take it seriously. The prizing and pampering of the foolish people and the stupid people, you should not take it seriously, because it is your welfare, it is your safety that you should look into by taking up the right view. Many people have this problem that I can see now. Oh, they want to get the respect from these people, pampered by these people, pampered by those people. And finally, nobody will care for them. Finally they realize, in the name of pleasing these people, those people, these people, they get trapped into so many kinds of wrong views, and they suffer like anything. This is again one more absolute stupidity, foolishness, and again, which is based on wrong view, that I should get appreciation, I should get praise and pamper from as many people as possible. Especially now, in this present world, this TRP and this eagerness, this enthusiasm to get support from so many people. Many people, they do some nonsense, silly, stupid things, many times immoral and useless things also, just to gain the attention of so many people, just to get the liking and support of so many people. Though it is immoral, though it is unwholesome, though it is wrong view. In a society where this theism is very, very popular, there are all kinds of theistic ideas. People, they start shouting, screaming some theistic ideas, so that many people will start liking it. And in a society where a lot of these atheists are there, then to please those atheists, people start screaming, shouting, and audaciously declaring that atheism is great and I stand for this, just to please those stupid people. And he also becomes stupid. Just like this, to please one yakka. If you give up all your right views, then you will be killed. The same way, you should give up your wrong view. Don't get carried away in this prizing and pampering of these stupid people. In no way they will be useful. Whether you stick on to wrong view or right view, in no way it will help you. In no way they will be useful. And after all, if you stick on to right view, at least some of them, there is a chance for them to get converted to right view. And in that way, they will become your very good friends. Just to please some wrong view people, you need not stick on to wrong view. then you too will be spoiled, and they too will be corrupted and spoiled and suffer. You invite misfortune for a long time. So in that way, he has to, this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa had to convince him there is no harm in giving up wrong views for the sake of right view. So in the name of getting popularity, in the name of getting prized by these wrong view people, that is very evil intention. Don't keep such kind of evil intentions, which will harm you here and now and hereafter also. And it will harm other people also. So that's what is the suggestion of this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa. So in the same way, if you stick on to the right view, then it is like one more parable, one more example he gives. There are again two friends. They were carrying this hemp. Hemp means like this, using that hemp, they make this jute bags and all, a coarse fiber it is, like cotton. In the cotton, you can make some cotton cloths. From this hemp also, you can make some very coarse bags and all. So that kind of hemp they were carrying. So these two friends, they were carrying two loads of hemp. And one fellow, when he got some better, like say some linen cloth or cotton cloth, or then he got silver, and then he got gold also. The wise one among these two, he preferred the better one, and he just substituted the hemp with the cotton, hemp with the silver, hemp with the gold. And the other person, he just sticked on to his, oh no, I should carry only this hemp. Because many people, they think that I'm a hemp carrier. I should carry only hemp. Because many people prize me because I carry only hemp. That kind of adamancy in his mind, it made him not to carry the better things, like the silver, like the gold, cotton, silver, gold, and all. He ignored, and he carried only the hemp. And finally, when they reached their home, this person who carried gold, he could take care of his dependent and himself better by selling the gold and becoming rich. And this person who adamantly, foolishly thinking that other people should prize me, he carried only hemp, and other people also started laughing at him, and he remained as a very poor and pathetic person. In that way, giving up wrong views, it is good for everyone. Good for you, good for your dependents, good for the other people also. And don't get stuck with this foolishness of getting some prize, getting some pamper again from some stupid people. That is one of the biggest things now in the world. I see people want some kind of prize and pamper with all kinds of foolish people, with all kinds of wrong view people. And finally, nobody will come to their rescue, and he harmed himself, and he harmed them, the other people also. And he leads a very pathetic and very miserable life, just like this hemp carrier. So in that way, this Venerable Kumāra, see how strong he is in presenting his point and in convincing with such simple parables, giving up the wrong views and taking the right views, how important it is. Just for the sake of some very simple worldly, like say, though it is very, very shallow actually, the worldly benefits that people are stuck by thinking that having this kind of wrong views. This, hold on to this view of Creator God. Some people may prize you, but finally they'll be destroyed. They will become many times terrorists also. And though initially some people may shout at the terrorists, oh, you did a wonderful thing for your Dhamma, for your God, you sacrificed your life, great. In that way, some rogues may prize you, some foolish rogues, but finally they die a miserable death After death also definitely, because of that evil mind, that cruel mind, they take in a miserable plane. In no way it helps him. And of course, all other people also. At least if you take up the right view, at least some people, they come to their senses, if not all of them. In that way, this majoritarianism, if you get trapped by these majoritarian views, then you can't take up the right view. After all, you are a prince now, you are quite intelligent. At least you take up the right view. In that way, this Kumāra-Kassapa insisted. This Pāyāsi, and finally he could agree, and and he took refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and then he requested, so I want to make a great sacrifice in this time of great conversion from my wrong views to right view. What kind of sacrifice? And again, this Kumāra-Kassapa insisted, sacrifice by killing and all, it is not a proper sacrifice. By slaughtering animals, you may perform some sacrifice, that is not the right sacrifice. By proper offering, by proper generous actions, you perform this. So in that way, he told, and practice this Noble Eightfold Path. Give up this wrong view, and after that, practice right speech, right action, right livelihood, right concentration, all these things. And in that way, this Kumāra-Kassapa, he recommended him. And then this Prince Pāyāsi, he asked one of his friends, assistant come friend, his name was Uttara, to perform some kind of this meritorious action, this generosity, this dana. And then this Uttara told, we should give the best things. All the time you used to throw away some kind of coarse items. Now you should perform the offering of the best things. Oh, that's fine. I will offer the best things. In that way, this Pāyāsi told. And he told this Uttara, you take charge, you take the, you be the in charge of this food offering or this alms offering or this clothes offering program. Though we are giving the best things, but I don't have time, you take charge. Then this Uttara, he took charge of that alms, food, clothes giving program. And he offered with very good mind, with happy mind, with very pious and happy mind, with joyful mind. And when this Pāyāsi died, of course, the Pāyāsi, he came to the right view, and he did this generosity, this meritorious action of this offering. But he was not there in person while offering, and he did not rejoice. He could not enjoy the very act of offering. So because of that, he could take rebirth only in the Chatumaharajika plane, this Pāyāsi. And this Uttara, his friend, who was there in person while offering the alms, though it was not his money actually, though it was the money of this Prince Pāyāsi, because of his service, because of his rejoicing in that very act of generosity, he was more blissful, more happy at the time of death, and he could take rebirth in a better plane of Devas, a superior plane of Devas, that is in the Thava things are better than this Chatumaharajika. He could take rebirth there. In that way, offering ungrudgingly, offering with great rejoice, offering with this right view in the mind. So that is also equally important, in addition to offering the best things, especially to the ascetics and these meditators. So in that way, this Pāyāsi, at last, he came out of his wrong view, and he started performing some meritorious actions also, and he could take rebirth in the Chatumaharajika plane. And actually, he again, his mind, this investigating mind, it was very much there when he took rebirth, and he realized that his friend has taken rebirth in the better plane, that is in Tavatimsa, and he has taken rebirth in the Chatumaharajika plane. When it was asked by this Pāyāsi with one more, like another monk, Gavampati, then that Gavampati, his name, he replied that the mind, your presence, your joy, your inner joy while offering, that also matters. Well, it was told. Then he became more skillful in his generosity, this Pāyāsi. That way, he thoroughly established in this right view. So, in that way, we should understand the other extreme view of this materialistic view. There is nothing like other world. There is nothing like fruits and merits, fruits and results for good and bad actions. There is nothing like merits. There is nothing like meritorious actions. There is nothing like spontaneously born beings, whether it is hellish or the ghost beings, whether it is divine or the Brahmic beings. If these things, if your mind won't comprehend, then you are bound to be like more materialistic, and that materialistic view, it will lead to so many other kinds of wrong views. You can't work on the mind. The mind becomes more deluded, and the deluded mind, it will invite more problems like like stinginess, selfishness, attachment, greediness, and also that will generate its counter mental negative factors like hatred, jealousy. Then the mind will get trapped into this loop of greed, hatred, and delusion. After all, right view, it will destroy the delusion first, and thereby it will destroy the greed and hatred also. Then it will liberate the person from that loop of greed, hatred, and delusion, and he will be happy in the very present life, and he can die peacefully, and he can take a superior birth. And if he continues in this right view authoritatively, then he can be liberated here and now. He can become Arahant also. So that is the message of this sutta. Okay, I think this much is enough. And if you have some quick questions, you can ask, and then we will conclude. Any questions? कुछ पूछने का है? So, so this is our effort from past couple of years, from our organization also, this Center for Right View, to bring in this right view. It's very, very challenging, of course, I know very well. So to bring in this, even the so-called Buddhists also, they fall into these extreme views. Somehow they slip into these extreme views. It's very difficult to stick on to this right view. Either they fall into this atheistic views, or they fall into this theistic views. Even the so-called the Buddhists, and definitely the people from other religions, it will be very easy, because the very views of their religions is they fall into either this atheistic views, and of course many of them these theistic views about the creator God. I don't say that you should hate them. That's how the world is. You just say be equanimous, but start penetrating into this right view. Start understanding the pros and cons of the wrong views, the limitations, the drawbacks of the wrong views, and start understanding the benefits of the right view, and slowly let it take its own time. Don't be in hurry. Start digging into this right by this kind of listening, asking, interacting, discussing, and of course practicing meditations also, and of course practicing performing meritorious actions also. And that's what is actually we are doing. So make use of this platform, this CRVM platform, to develop in all these different ways and means to establish in right view. Then definitely, as this Venerable Kumāra-Kassapa, he assured this Pāyāsi. So it will be assured that you will derive a lot of benefits here and now, and also hereafter. That much assurance we can also give you. Okay. So anything, any questions? Ravindra Gaikwad, anything? Upasak Ravindra Gaikwad. Vasudev.
Yes, sir.
Vasudev. Any questions, Vasudev?
No. Thank you, Bhante.
Manik Reddy.
Vandane Bhanteji.
Sukhivantu, Upasak Manik Reddy.
Yeah. No question, Bhanteji. Thank you.
No question.
Thank you.
Pranam Guruji, this upliftment of means how our conscious gets uplifted, then we go to this different world, divine worlds. And this was explained in this sutta very clearly. Earlier, we had a bit misconception about this upliftment of conscious and how it was traveling, because Brahma world and all those years were in lakhs, and if they come on earth, it means one day. That comparison was there in my mind, but with this sutta, it got very clearly, and we could also got this, this profound information from Guruji. Means that one positive, this also we got Guruji, that no Baba, this world is, means this traveling of consciousness will be the final this in all this world.
Yeah. Sometime back in Goa, in your place only, after that Goa retreat, one person he came, that Jaya Prabhu's husband. Yeah, he asked me, so whatever you are teaching is fine, it is perfect for this life. But what about the next life? In what way your mindfulness will help for the subsequent lives? That's what he was asking. You remember? So, as you said now, the consciousness will get refined when you become more and more mindful, when you become more and more aware, when you become more and more generous, when you become more and more virtuous, when you become more and more meritorious, when you are working on this so-called mind in all these 4 different ways to cater to the needs of these 4 faculties of the mind, the purification of these 4 faculties of the mind. If you keep on working by sharpening your awareness, by sharpening your consciousness, by sharpening your Brahma Viharas, by purifying your Brahma Viharas, then again it will add to the purity of the consciousness. By developing this chitta, this chanda, virya, chitta, vimamsa, dipadas, again it will add to the purification and the subtleness of the consciousness. Of course, the consciousness, it is moving like wave, moment to moment. The same movement it will happen at the time of death also. So when you are purifying these waves, each and every moment, each and every day, each and every year, each and every week, each and every month, and each and every year, then that very refinement of consciousness, it will propel you, it will be pushed to a better consciousness, and that is actually a superior rebirth. You will take rebirth in the divine terms. So when you are not working on consciousness, you just allow the consciousness to become dumb, become evil, become greedy, become full of hatred and full of delusion with these wrong views, then there is no refinement of consciousness. Then one will end up in the, at the time of death, where your body became weak and you are supposed to give up this body, then that moment of consciousness, because of its unrefinement, because of its grossness, because of its impurity with this greed, hatred, and delusion, it will end up in a plane of misery, plane of woe, plane of suffering, like the hells or like the ghost or spirit realms or the animals. That's why, as you said, you keep on refining the consciousness with this right view. It will refine your delusion first. That means, like this kind of delusion, like this Pāyāsi kind of delusion. There is no other world, there is no need to do good actions, there is no need to perform meritorious actions, there is no need to purify the mind, there is no need to work on the mind, there is no need to develop Brahma Viharas, Metta, Karuna, Mita, Upekka, there is no need to become generous. So this kind of views, if it is there in the mind, then you become more and more hateful, more and more selfish, more and more greedy also, and more dumb also. Like you don't perform the meritorious actions and all other wholesome things, like including meditation and meditating also, or even learning this also, you may not show interest if the mind is stuck with the wrong views. But once you like say, establish yourself in the right view and mitigate or reduce your wrong views, and then slowly your consciousness, as you said, it starts getting refined, and that refined consciousness, in the journey of this refinement of the consciousness, one will go through definitely the divine realms also, as that person was asking in the Goa retreat. So when you're developing mindfulness and keeping your mind more pure, then the next life will be definitely a pure life. What is a pure life? A divine life. Then once you are bothered with this present moment, you need not bother about your next life. Definitely it will be a superior life. Because the consciousness becomes more superior, then you will end up in a plane where there is only superior consciousness, like the divine beings are there. If you refine the mind with much more accuracy, much more, like say, powerful approaches, like this, powerful meditations, jhanas, then he will become a Brahma, Brahmic realms. In the time of death, the same jhanas are maintained, same purity of the mind is maintained, same sensitivity of the consciousness, subtleness of the consciousness is maintained. He will take rebirth in the Brahma realms. If he experiences the Nibbana with much more wisdom, with much more concentration, like Sotapannas, Sagalagamis, Anagamis, Arahants, then he will become emancipated, liberated in this very life itself. He will enter into Nibbana after the death, which is far, far superior than these planes of the divine beings, the Brahmic beings, or even the Arupa Brahma beings. He will enter into the plane of Nibbana. In that way, this refining the consciousness with right view is the key, even to get Nibbana or to get the Brahma realms, the superior Brahma realms, or the divine realms. The key is this purification of the mind, purification of the mind with right view. Of course, that is first thing. And also purification through your meritorious actions, meditations, which is of course rooted in the purification of mind through this understanding right view. On this ground, if you stand and if you keep working, then automatically this refinement of consciousness happens, and it leads to, according to the level of proportion of refinement, it leads to superior rebirths, either in the divine realms or in the Brahmic realms or even in the Nibbana. in that way, establishing in this right view and standing firmly in this right view is the key to be happy here and now, and also automatically it will take you to that refined rebirths, whether it is divine or Brahmic or Nibbana. So that is the importance of right view. That is the importance of coming out of wrong views. Even this kind of eternalistic view that many people they keep, oh, after this life, I should surrender to this Creator God. That kind of dumbness is there in the mind. So then if you don't work on your mind, purify with these meritorious actions and these meditations and with this thing, there is higher chances of, like say, dying with the dumb mind. Not higher chances, all the chances are there to die with the dumb mind, with that wrong view. Then you may take rebirth. Your greed and your hatred, it will not be purified. Superficially, you may think that it is purified. I am so divine. I am so, I'm a great devotee of so and so deity. You may have tremendous attachment towards some kind of some imaginary deities, or deities also may have some good virtues, may not have some good virtues. And deep inside, you may have a lot of attachments, and that would not have purified your consciousness. So with that kind of mind, if you die, then you may take rebirth in these ghost realms, the pretas. That's why many of these religious people, they think that many of their relatives or their loved ones, after their death, they have taken rebirth in this preta world. Because of their attachments, because of their very view will make them so much attached. So in that way, they are right. Many of them, they take rebirth in the preta worlds, though they may be aspiring to become divine beings. But because of this wrong view, they are more prone to take rebirth in the preta worlds. So in that way, what you should do, you should give up that other version of wrong view also. Okay.
Vandami Bhantaji.
Yes, Supasika. Yeah.
Vandami Bhantaji. Bhantaji, it is usually said that when a person dies in the hospital or after a lot of suffering, so he doesn't go to a good realm. It is better that we keep the ill person at home, and then if he dies or he dies calmly at his home, so that is better. But nowadays the trend is that relatives start accusing if you keep them home, and if they are not being treated properly. So I just want to get your view on
Actually,
this.
the converse is also true. If you keep him in the hospital, then no, you should keep him. So it depends on so many factors, you see. If there is no, like saying that hospital kind of treatment is not required, then one can keep. Hearing one of our neighbors here, he preferred to be in the home. So though he was severely ill, and they brought him back to the home, and now actually he recovered. We don't know actually. There are so many factors. But coming to the first part of the question, like if you say in the hospital, if you can create that kind of ambience where that person, though he is physically, he's suffering with a lot of health issues, but the mind is a bit peaceful. Our mind is little, like say this kind of something thinking good about his merits, about being meditative, thinking about his meritorious actions. So in that way, if the mind is peaceful, whether it is in the hospital, the person is in the hospital, or whether he is in the home, that is better. That kind of ambience before the death, if you can create either in the hospital or at the home, that is the service that one can render. The relatives can think of that. It's not the place that matters. It is the ambience which will help him to maintain that kind of mental stability, mental equanimity, mental equipoise, mental peace. If one can create that kind of environment, that kind of situation, whether it is in the hospital or at the home, that is okay. But in the hospital, generally it is difficult. The advantage in the hospital is one will get this medical support better. The advantage in the home generally is to create that kind of spiritual environment, like keeping his mind with more happiness, more peace. So that is generally possible, but there is a possibility of if the body is very comfortable in the hospital, thereby the mind also may become some comfortable, may become peaceful. But still, this kind of positive thoughts one should encourage with that dying person or the person who is severely ill, to recollect whatever meritorious actions that he has done, she has done, and to recollect the virtuous things that he has performed, and also to recollect, and also if possible to practice some meditation. I taught my father when he was in hospital. That time also, of course, he was a good meditator. He used to observe the breaths, and also he was a virtuous person also. So in that way, whether he is in the hospital or in the home, as much as possible, if you encourage them to be, let's say, happy and peaceful and meditative, that is the condition that is expected for a person who is in the last days. And of course, we should not ignore the medical support also, medical treatment, medical support also. That also should be given the best possible ways. And in addition to that, this is more important. Making the mind more peaceful. In that way, whether it is in the house or in the hospital, if you can create such kind of factors, it is okay. You need not, like, say, again, there is no need to draw conclusion. Only at the home it is useful, only at the hospital it is useful. The person, no, that is not one universal conclusion that one should subscribe to. If you can provide better medical facilities at the home also, and take care of his mind also, like providing this chanting at the time of, let's say, when he is on the sick bed, and keeping the environment like very spiritual, keeping some, like, say, if you are a follower of Buddha, and the person is keeping Buddha statues, and some kind of cleanliness and all, if you can maintain some chanting, some kind of discourses he can listen, he can hear. And in that way, if you can create such kind of ambience, in the hospital it is relatively difficult. Or if you know some good hospital where they can encourage this kind of things in a separate room, that is also fine. So in that way, creating that kind of proper ambience, wherever it may be, hospital or house, that is important, in addition to medical support. Okay.
Vandami Bhantaji, and one more thing was, if a person dies without consciousness, like if he has a cardiac arrest, or if he goes to coma and dies, that is dying without consciousness. And if he is very conscious, sick, and with full awareness, he dies. So he knows that he's dying and he's dying. So
With suffering,
is there,
without suffering.
Bhanteji?
With suffering or without suffering. The conscious, if conscious person may be suffering also, conscious person, the consciousness is little more pure. Without suffering also he may die. So which one is you're talking about? If he dies with consciousness means like with
Yeah,
suffering.
consciousness, knowing that he is dying,
That's
and
right.
the other is without knowing he's dying, because
Okay.
that strikes you at any time, any moment. So you never know you're dying today, tomorrow, or whenever, Bhanteji. But otherwise, if the person is sick and he knows that he's dying, he's on the death. So then, so that is. So does it make any difference in his rebirth? That is my question, Bhanteji. Does it make any difference?
It will have an impact on the rebirth. But as I was asking you, the person, though he is conscious, he knows that he is dying. But if he is suffering, he is struggling to give up this body. That very suffering, very struggling, that very resistance, that very fear and bewilderment and that shock, and though he is aware, though he knows that he is dying, but these negativities are there in the mind, like this fear, like anxiety, like that bewilderment. If that is there, then though he is conscious, he may take rebirth because of these negativities in that so-called conscious mind. It will take him to an inferior realm, like an woeful realm also. A person, though he's not conscious, generally that unconscious minds, it will be like one dumb mind. They will take rebirth in some kind of dumb planes of existence, like some animals, very, very sluggish or very, like say, very low conscious realms, he may take rebirth. But if a person, if he is conscious, but if he is a pure person, good person, let us say, has performed so many meritorious actions, he was practicing a lot of meditation, though he was conscious, though he was not conscious at the time of death, because of that flow of that wholesome factors in his subconscious mind. So it may take him to some better rebirths. We can't say that he will take rebirth in the divine realms and all, because to take rebirth in the divine realms, it should be a very mature, very conscious state of mind. But he may take rebirth in some human realms also because of his meritorious actions, even though he dies unconsciously. Because that inner purity is very much there in his so-called unconscious mind also. It will pull him, it will just push him to some better realms, at least in the human realms, there is a chance. But most of the times it will be in some animal realms where the conscious levels are very less for an unconscious person, a person who dies unconsciously. Coming to this conscious person, if he dies with that kind of fear and anxiety and maybe with a lot of anger also, like in the case of this Ashoka, though he was such a meritorious person, but at the time of death, he was very conscious, of course, but because one of his servants, he could not bring him some water or so at the time of death, he became angry. With that mind full of anger when he died, he became a snake. He took rebirth as a snake. And of course, just for a few days, that's what the scriptures say. And after that, he could take rebirth in the heavens. So in that way, at the time of death, though if you are conscious, the mind is full of this kind of unwholesome mental factors, unwholesome feelings, unwholesome, these chetasikas, like anger and all is there. Though you are conscious, very conscious, like in the case of Ashoka, there is a chance of taking rebirth in the lower realms, maybe at least for some short period of time. Then your wholesome actions, they take the lead, and then you may take rebirth again in the heavens. The same thing with the Mallika also, the Queen Mallika. At the time of death, one of the evil things that she has done, it came to her mind, though she died very consciously. And because of that evil thing that was, like say, arising in her mind at the time of death, She has to take rebirth in the hell just for 1 week. And after 1 week, she could take rebirth in the heavens. She could escape from the hells because of a lot of meritorious actions that she performed. That Buddha only actually, he proclaims that now after 1 week she has taken rebirth in the heavens. So in that way, at the time of death, it is not the conscious mind or the unconscious mind again matters. It is again the purity of the mind, again your meritorious actions, again the state of mind, the state of pure mind or impure mind at the time of death, that matters.
Thank
Namo
you,
Buddhaya.
Bhantaji.
Yes,
Namo
yes.
Buddhaya, Bhantaji.
Yes, Super Sat.
Yeah, sorry you called out. Somebody was at doorstep. Yeah. Very, very nice topic. Actually, I really liked it, and I could recollect with when my dad was not well. He was bedridden. I could recollect with those, the topic with that. So it was, it was. I feel that connection. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Fine, Super Sat. Ravindra Gaikwad. You are Kunal's brother?
Yes. Kunal is my elder brother, and Vaishali is my sister-in-law. Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, Ravindra Gaikwad. Fine. Okay, I think it's time we'll conclude. Bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada swati bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyan nidukko aham nicha aham viya hita cha me sukhi hontu majjata chataverino imam hi gammante dhamme satta hontu sukhi sada tato paranchara jesu chakkavale sujantuno sad. So, Sukhiyant Mangal. May all of you be happy, healthy, and peaceful. May all beings also be happy, healthy, and peaceful. Sukhiyant Mangal.